don't know if I can even really do this video in 10 minutes, but I'll try. If we were thinking it was going to be time for Let's Go again. It looked like Steven Gerrard was going to make a return to Rangers. And it seems pretty clear how it's kind of fallen apart. It seems again that farewell strikes again. Uh, Basically, there's an unwillingness, probably on both sides, to kind of work together. And when you see the business done so far by Farewell, you can understand why. I mean, the Shamiti transfer for £10 million for a player that certainly didn't light up at Everton, for the club he was formerly at. I mean, it does raise alarm bells. And listen, I hope Shamiti comes good. You know, he's a young player. I mean, he's got the opportunity to come good, but unfortunately, at the moment, he's kind of a fall guy because he's Rangers' second highest transfer fee that they've paid for a player after Torre Andre Flo. Now, Steven Gerrard has pulled out of the race to become Rangers manager. It's obviously something like that, because why would he travel all the way from Dubai, have talks in London, talks in Glasgow, to say to if he wasn't interested in coming back? I mean, so the timing thing is bullshit, to be honest with you. It's nonsense. Now, I have to be honest, in the summer, I wasn't keen on having Gerrard back. I will say that when Steven Gerrard was Rangers manager, I was a huge supporter of his, a huge proponent of his. He came in and Rangers were a mess. They'd finished third in the league. The first season they had back in Europe was an absolute disaster. They got embarrassed by Progress and Niederkorn. He came in, he brought standards back to Rangers, made Rangers difficult to beat. You know, it's he achieved his remit, as he said. He won the league and stopped them winning the 10. That's what his remit was. That's what he was brought in for. He wasn't brought in to win the league in the first season. That was never going to happen. The second season, there was a possibility in the collapse, and then the loss against kind of Hamilton, then the pandemic happening. I mean, that saved his job. There's no question about that. We did progress really well with him in Europe, and the team that got to the Europa League final under Gio was Gerrard's team. Now, would it have worked if we brought Gerrard back? I'm not so sure. Now, when Michael Beale came in as Rangers manager, he took far too much credit for the work that was done under him, Gerrard, and Gary McAllister. But what I will say is, there's no doubt in my mind, because you look at what happened with Aston Villa, things kind of went pear-shaped when Michael Beale left for QPR. And this is in no way me trying to put over Michael Beale. This is just kind of stating what's a fact. He is obviously the guy that sets up the training and sets up the tactics and stuff. I mean, there's no question about that, in my opinion. And there's absolutely no way, after the damage that Michael Beale did when he was at Rangers as manager, could come back as Gerrard's assistant. There's no way. So Gerrard would have to find someone else to kind of do that. Gerrard was brilliant in terms of, you know, standards he set. He made sure the team was fit. The team was never fitter than when Gerrard was manager. They pressed, they worked hard. I'm going to get into the kind of the issues as well, though. And he would need... Gerrard himself would say that he's not a tactical kind of mastermind. He's the kind of figurehead. He's the guy that sets the kind of standards. He kind of talks with the players, and he's the manager. And a lot of managers are like that. A lot of managers have an assistant, and obviously Gary McAllister is the assistant, but they have like a first team coach or whatever you call it, and they set up the tactics and they set up the trainings and stuff. Because the manager, you can't do everything. I mean, there's obviously some managers that do all that, but he knows where his strengths is and he knows where his weaknesses are. So he'd have to find someone like that as well. Now, the problem with Steven Gerrard's system is that it's kind of one-dimensional. It's a case of there's not really a plan B. It's a case of doing plan A better, which was what my mate said to me one time, and I think that was so true. And Rangers had a tendency for not finishing teams off. They would maybe go like a goal up or a couple of goals up, and they didn't have like a killer instinct. I mean, they were difficult to beat, and they were miles above from where they were. And there's no question since he's left, those standards have completely slipped. I mean, if the Rangers team he'd be coming into right now would not be a Rangers team that he would be happy coming into. It's soft, it's easy to beat, doesn't create a lot of chances. I mean, maybe with the right kind of manager in place, and some of that can kind of turn around, but there's still a softness to Rangers, and that's kind of been apparent since Steven Gerrard's left, because his team was built on being difficult to beat. And there was obviously games that they came unstuck, like of Kilmarnock on the plastic pitch, or Aberdeen, or there was stupid results dropped because they didn't maybe at times score enough goals. Now, I know in the 55 season we were excellent. Won most of the games. I mean, only lost 4 all season. We lost one of the legs against Slavia Prague. We were even undefeated in the Europa League, apart from losing one of the legs in Slavia Prague. We topped our group. Obviously lost against St Johnstone in the Cups and St Mirren in the Cup. And we lost home and away against Slavia Prague. That's what it is. That was the 4 losses. I think it was 32 league wins and 6 draws. Maybe it was 31 wins and 7 draws, which was excellent. There's no guarantee if Steven Gerrard came back to Rangers that those standards would be set, but the standards would be much, much higher. There's no question about that. They would be in a much better situation. Rangers would be in a much better situation. Now, whether you liked Clement or not, if Clement had started the season as Rangers manager, Rangers wouldn't be sitting 8th in the league right now. If he had that kind of backing, Rangers would be in a much better position. But listen, I understand. Unfortunately, he was thrown under the bus by the board, and after the Queen's Park result, there was no way back, unfortunately. For some reason, the other candidate is Danny Röhl, who, I don't know if that's how you say his name, who was only ever managed at Sheffield Wednesday. Now, I know Sheffield Wednesday have had problems, and there's a lot of kind of stuff going on, but Rangers is constantly looking at championship kind of level managers. And you know, I'm kind of at the point now. I mean, I think we missed out on Derek McInnes. I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't think he would come to Rangers and do a good job. I thought when he was at Aberdeen and they had the opportunity to go up against Celtic, I didn't think they really kind of done it. But you're seeing with Hearts and with the money that they've spent that, you know, he probably could have come to Rangers and done well. So I'm looking at it right now, and people had said about Stephen Robinson, and I think there'd be a lot of people that would be like, oh, you know, he's not kind of fashionable, whatever, yada yada. But I think we can all agree we need a manager that knows the Scottish game, and he's done a terrific job at St Mirren, and for the most part he did a terrific job at Motherwell. And he could be akin to like an Alex McLeish. He could be exactly what Rangers need. Someone with that identity, someone that's Scottish, knows the game, and can come in and do a great job. Now, maybe not. Maybe it wouldn't work, but I think it would be better bringing someone like that in rather than bringing in Danny Röhl, who has got very little experience as a manager. Oh, I don't know. I don't know if I'm even really making kind of points for this. I just thought there's obviously been a heck of a lot going on that I'm going to have to do a video to kind of respond to what's kind of happening. To summarise, I think if Steven Gerrard come back, Rangers would definitely end up being in a better position. I don't know if necessarily he would then be able to then go and win the title back again. I mean, possibly, maybe, I don't know. If you were to ask me who I wanted as Rangers manager, I would say the Bodo Glimt manager, Knutson or Kevin Muscat. That would be my 2 guys. And if not them, then take a punt on Stephen Robinson. Knows the Scottish game. He'll know the kind of Scottish players to get. And yeah, we go from there. But sorry the video was so long. There was a lot to kind of go through. The other thing with Gerrard as well is his last couple of jobs haven't exactly been successful, but we'll always have 55 in the undefeated season. And there's no doubt that he brought Rangers back to kind of a standard where they should be. And that standard has dropped massively. And he would have improved that without question. So yeah, we see where we go, and I think as long as Thelwell and Stewart are at the club, then it's going to be an issue for whoever comes in. So I guess we see who comes in, but it does look like it's going to be Danny Röhl, the former Sheffield Wednesday manager.